morning everyone! Welcome to the first episode of Zoe TV. I did promise you a video for this morning talking all about best practice for working from home. So today, in just like the shortest video I can do, I'm going to do it all in one take. I hope to share a couple of tips and tricks that I think are really good for motivating yourself from working at home, routines that you can get into, and kind of little hacks to help you in this process that we're all in at the moment. On that particular note, we're in a situation that, I'll keep using the word the media uses, unprecedented. No one knew this was going to happen. No one knows what to do at this point, and we're all trying our best, and I know you guys are as well. But the whole nation is in this situation, and I think it's definitely a moment with all the worries going on and everything everyone's got to think about to consider how you're going to respond to it. Like, we're all in a place where we could kind of go, oh my God, this is awful, I'm going to give up. Or we can kind of do something about it, make lemonade, like Beyonce would say. So that's something I feel really strongly about at the moment. We're creatives, we're used to situations where we have a problem and we solve it. So what are we going to do about this? So you can make work, you can carry on doing exactly the projects that you want to do, that's brilliant, and really go for it in this situation. Show yourself to be one of the creatives that can respond really effectively to this situation. And also, it's an opportunity, I think, to try out all the tips and hacks and apps and facilities that are kind of blowing up at the moment. Photoshop's free for 2 months. Loads of conferencing apps have come to the surface that I never heard about, and there's loads of apps for scanning in your work, finding creativity. Absolutely everyone is online at the moment. So who are the amazing designers and artists that you love that you've never really seen their home or their daily life? Get involved and see what they're doing, and use it as an opportunity where you can, with all of this stuff going on everywhere, to be really inspired and responsive. I think that's a good idea. Okay, so number one, the space. Look at me, I'm in my home office, which is my living room at the moment. I never work from home, I try and relax here, but I have to now. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make a space that feels really inspired and creative and zen as well. Although it looks a bit chaotic, I'm going to keep all of this really organised and clean and clear so that I feel like I am on it, like I'm bossing this situation. So maybe you're working from home at the moment. You might be having to do it on the dining room table, bits of your bedroom, wherever you can. I would encourage you to create a tiny little space, even if it's a bit of floor where you face the wall under the kitchen counter or something like that. Make it as clean and clear and organised as you can, and a space where hopefully maybe you can leave some of your stuff to come back to it. But I think the more sorted you are, the more in control and in charge of the situation you're going to feel. And that really helps, I find. My studio can be a bit messy sometimes, but I always have a big tidy up before I get started, because having a zen space really makes you feel like you can focus and plug in. Some of the other senses can really help to kind of hack as well. So think about what you could listen to while you're working. I have the Calm app, and I listen to all these like funky chill out Ibiza beats when I'm working, but also any kind of like noises, because apparently silence isn't amazing to work to. For some people it is, but if you're in dead silence and then you hear a bird squawk, that's really distracting, isn't it? Whereas if you've got kind of a constant sound on in the background, sometimes like ambient music, like sounds like cafe sounds or running water or rainforest sounds, go on YouTube and see what you can find. Or maybe some of the apps that you've got on your phone already from this situation will have some really good meditations or really good kind of zen sounds to keep you feeling focused, to keep your mind set on what you're doing. So maybe no lyrics, up to you, but at the same time can kind of distract the attentive part of your brain so that all you're focusing on is the thing in front of you. Even things like the other senses, like sensory stuff like scent, like you're going to burn some candles or have some like amazing incense going that's going to make you feel really refreshed and awake, like some citrus stuff. Think about that, because we're really sensory people being creative. So any part of your body that can respond to stuff and tune in to focus could be really, really good. Okay, so mindset is the second thing I wanted to talk about. I've mentioned already being in this situation is going to be a challenge for all of us, isn't it? I kind of work quite well from home, I've realised, but some people don't. Like maybe you're around family that you can find really distracting when you're working. Maybe you've got younger siblings, or actually maybe being indoors all the time is tough for you. Make an effort to go outside where you can. I would really recommend that. But I want you to know that how you respond to this situation is completely in your control. 100%. And it's the reason humans are really good. Like, we've always been in this situation, haven't we? We're the ones who have developed all this medicine and technology and culture because we started off the same as the other monkeys, and we kind of got interested in the sparkly thing that was over there and went and investigated and crafted a tool to help us work with it and all of those kind of things. So when you find problems come up, being able to face them and tackle the challenges head on is a really, really positive thing. So you definitely want to gravitate to things that help you with that mindset. I find that one of the things to do that's really good for me is writing down all the goals I have, whether they're really big, far off ones like building a lovely house in Wales, that's what I want to do, or even if it's as simple as today, I want to get to the end of the day and like have done all this amazing work. It can really help to do a bit of visualization. Sometimes that's like as little as sticking a picture of the house that you're going to build up on the wall. I've done that before. But it could also be things like, I talk a bit with my first year students about meditation, but for you, really focusing on what is vitally important to you, not what you wish you could do because other people are doing it, what is really, really crucial and sort of a high value thing for you. And writing that down, and even when it comes to like visualizing that thing, you could even think about things like, say it was, I want to do the most amazing project. I want to use this time to do an incredible load of work that keeps me occupied, is done in a really healthy way, and I enjoy it and I'm proud of it at the end. Don't just imagine that. You could get a little picture of like a whole pile of sketchbooks and stick it up somewhere in your room, along with a couple of other things that maybe there's some amazing designers that you want to end up like, and images of those people, portraits of them could go up. You can do things as far as really getting your senses involved and your imagination. So instead of just imagining the dream house that I want to build in Wales, I do things like going and visiting it in my mind. This is going to sound nuts, but I love it and it's really effective. I travel to Wales in my brain. I drive up, I pull up onto the drive of the house that I've built. I get out, I'm in the sunshine, I look around and look at all the view, and I go indoors and I explore all the rooms, and like I bake things in the imaginary kitchen, and I think about how the house is going to smell and what art is going to be up on the walls. And those goals, whether it's that or the dream studio that I want to build or the great piece of work I want to do at the end of the day, I think about how it's going to feel to have done that piece of work, how fantastic I'm going to feel about myself for having done it. And I make sure to really kind of experience those feelings as a way of surrounding that goal with good energy. And I know that might sound a bit woo-woo at the moment, but if you think about it, all the things that you ever want to do, how much fear do we put around them? We go, oh, desperate to get that work done. If I don't do it, it's going to be terrible. Everyone's going to be so mad at me. All that negative energy around that goal, around that wish, around that desire, it's going to make you want to step away from it. It's like, oh God, I've got to do it, but I'm so scared, Don't do that. Use this time, with all the other stuff that's going on everywhere else, use this time to really focus on positive things that are in your life. And this course that you're doing and all the help that we're giving you on that, that's a really positive thing. It's your craft, it's what you want to go on to do in your career. And it's up to you to kind of put all the good energy around the goals of getting project work done every day or getting fantastic pieces completed by the end. It's up to you to kind of put good energy around that so that you are focusing on something that makes you feel well, makes you feel happy, makes you feel energized and ambitious and confident and calm, and not something that's going to terrify you. So that's a really important thing I want you to think about. And also, again, don't worry what other people are doing. Don't worry that some people might be getting more work done. Don't worry that there might be people out in the industry making better stuff than you. All that matters is what you're doing right now. And I really, really want to drive that home. Focus on your lane and do a good job of it, and you'll be winning. Doesn't matter how it goes. So one of the things that can really help achieve in a moment of crisis, or just in a time when we're having to do a big bulk of work, is routine and habits. And I wanted to talk a bit about those as well. So I always liken it like going to the gym. And I don't do much of going to the gym, so I know I can not necessarily talk with a lot of expertise about this, but it's a good metaphor for me. I imagine going to the gym is a lot of hard work at the start. It certainly would be for me. You're out of shape. I walk 9 flights of stairs every day, but I'm kind of like, oh God, I have to remember to do it because my body's like, don't do it, you don't like it. I have to remember to do it. And then when I do it, it's exhausting. I'll use the stair metaphor instead. I get to the 9th floor, which is where I live. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm knackered. I don't want to do this again. And your body is going, regret, regret, regret. The next day, your limbs ache. And I know I've got like really tight muscles at the moment because I've been doing all that walking. And it's like, there's every reason not to do it because it's out of the ordinary and your body is like, ah. And it's the same with like habits in general. If you're not used to doing something, it takes a lot of energy to remember to do it. It burns a lot of calories having to do it. And then even afterwards, there's like some recovery time and like getting back into your old funk and your old autopilot. But the more you can show up with those little actions every day, they become habits that you stop using energy trying to remember. You stop burning calories doing because you'll be so used to doing them, they're second nature. Like how often do you drive somewhere and you kind of get to your destination, you're like, I don't even remember how I drove here, but I don't really remember the drive. I was thinking about something else. Like you want really positive habits to form in that way. And they say it takes like, oh no, I should know this. It's like a certain number of hours. I think it's like 30 days or 45 days to set a habit so that it becomes routine. But that transition is so healthy for you. And it gets easier all the time. You do day one and it's like, oh God, I've got to do a sketchbook today. Okay, I found the time to do it. Found the 30 minutes. That was a challenge. But by day 7, you've got like 7 pages done and you'll feel amazing. And that's another really important thing I want to drive home as well. There's like a double benefit from doing this stuff. Not only do you get things done that you desperately want to do, like you achieve those goals, but you also are in a position where you can see yourself achieving those things. And that feels really good. Like that gives you an extra sprinkling of spirit because you feel amazing for having done them. So not only are you someone who's got 7 pages in your sketchbook by the end of the week, but you're also sitting there going, oh, I feel extra good because I'm someone who's got 7 pages. I'm good at this. I'm going to do another page today because I definitely can do that. I'm achieving, I'm qualifying myself. It's really good. So I think there's like extra potency from setting habits and habit forming. But in the very least, getting those things done will relieve you at a time like this. You don't want your work to be another thing that makes you feel crap. You know, make it something that you feel really good about, you enjoy showing up to every day. And again, setting up spaces that you want to do that in, I think is really effective. Knowing what your goals are really, really helps you. But also setting it a habit and getting into a routine will give you relief, have you something solid to focus on at this point, and it will make you feel really good about yourself. Okay, so knowing your goals is really helpful and it's one thing. But making a plan helps you get there, doesn't it? So a really good thing to do is start to break down the thing that you want to do into all these manageable chunks. That sounds really easy to do. It is, but a lot of people you find don't do it. And we always get you to try and do like a project plan. So think about those ultimate goals, what they entail, and then set yourself some really manageable, broken down period, like banks of time, whether that's weeks or maybe it's like the week. Or perhaps it's even the day, going, right, well, I know by the end of the day, I want to have a page of research. So I'm going to need to spend X amount of time on the internet looking for it. Don't be going to the shops at the moment. You want to be doing this online. You're going to spend X amount of time researching it. So you might know that that's a couple of hours. Maybe add some percentages in for contingency. I always have to do that for myself because I take longer to do everything than I think I'm going to do because I'm such an optimist. So I add about 20% extra when I'm trying to plan for things. So you're going to do your researching and then you're going to need to print it out. Printer might not be free, so you block a bit of time in for that. And then you're going to want to stick it in your sketchbook, draw around it, and then maybe do a bit of like feedback on yourself. Like, okay, so how did that go? What do I think about this research? What does it mean about the next thing I'm going to do? Now, breaking that down into manageable chunks can make it feel really achievable. And even, like giving yourself little breaks in between is really vital as well. I've written in my notes, be rested and be reasonable. Do not plan for burnout. So, and I'm guilty of doing this sometimes. If you say to yourself, right, I'm going to do 12 pages today and I'm going to get them all done. And then tomorrow I'm going to do another 12 and I'll be good then. So I'll do 25 for the day after. And it's just like by day 3, you're going to be knackered. You're going to have to take some whole wedges of time off because you're going to be exhausted. And it just doesn't serve you. And it's taken me until my 30s to kind of recognize that I do that to myself. And actually I don't deserve it. Like I deserve to kind of be reasonable and responsible with myself. You know, you kind of kid yourself that you might be more productive than you are just because you really wish you were. Be real about it. Plan your time really effectively. And then, you know, you're going to have a much nicer time of it and stuff's actually going to get done. And that is the goal, isn't it? You don't want to be someone who kind of tries to work too hard, exhausts yourself, suffers from burnout, which is a very real thing, and then feels miserable and feels guilty about all of it. Don't do that. You don't deserve it. And especially at a time like this, you want to make things really amazing for yourself, don't you? So treat it with real compassion and care. Make a really fantastic plan. Break it down into time slots, into manageable things to do, and just slowly chunk your way through it. It's the tortoise and the hare situation, isn't it? You're not going to be able to race to the finish line with this. Just slowly put in plans to do bits every day, feedback to us whenever you need some help, and make it creative and fun for yourself. I think that's a really good idea. A really good thing to do as well when you're thinking about the things that you have to do is getting rid of anything that isn't really essential. Sometimes there's a thing that they do in business circles where you kind of get a plan of all the things you have to do. You draw a little cross on a page and you put in the top left-hand corner essential things. What you go, essential, non-essential, urgent, non-urgent. Everything that falls into the box that is essential and urgent, that's like priority number one, isn't it? And you've got to do that. You've probably got to do it today. If it's essential but non-urgent, maybe that gets factored into something that's going on later in the week. If it's down here and it's non-urgent but it is essential, have I got that right? Anything that is urgent but not essential, maybe you can think about doing that, but only after you get everything else done. And then finally, this box at the end where it's not urgent and it's not essential, get it off the list. It might make you feel good to do some of these things on your plan, like you've written this big to-do list and it's like, oh, decorate pages, oh, I'm gonna shop for new pens on the internet, all of these kind of things. If it's not necessary, strike it off the list. It's gonna feel great ticking it off during the day, but you might risk getting to the end of the day and not having done the stuff that you really need to do. So you need to prioritize those things. And that can help. Be really honest with yourself again, okay? So that brings me on to some of my organization hacks that I wanted to talk to you about. And one of my most favorite ones to do is an anecdote from the Ford manufacturing company, the guys who make all the cars. And they had an anecdote back from the 1950s, someone who made, they brought in an expert to kind of help them manage their production better and get their whole company more efficient. And it's a long story and I've told a couple of you guys this, but the anecdote is this. Essentially he said, and they paid him thousands and thousands of pounds, which at the time must have been like hundreds and thousands of pounds because it's back in like the 50s. They paid him so much money for this information because it transformed their business. And it was literally this. You start off, he said, get your workers the night before, any kind of employees, they have to write a to-do list the night before. That's when they've got all of the thoughts in their head from the day before, or from that day, and they know what they've got to do and they're really in the zone and they're really getting in the flow, and then they're finishing work at the end of the day. Get them to write a list of things to do the next day in order of priority. They start with the very first most important thing to do. Then they put the second most important thing to do, and then they put the third most important thing to do. After that, they don't put anything else. It's their 3 bullet point list of stuff to get done the next day. And then the very next day, they are not allowed to add anything to that list until they've done the first thing. Now, that sounds so easy, right? You always have a list of 3 things to do. You don't need more than that because that's overwhelming, and also might end up doing some of the non-essential stuff further down the list. I'm forever doing my washing up rather than doing work because it's on my list of things to do. Don't do that. Have 3 things to do every day, and you start with the most essential, and you do not move on until you've done that. You can only add to the list when you've taken one off the top. Now, sounds easy? Oh my goodness, it's hard. It's so hard. But when you get into the routine of doing it, it's really effective. Like, you look at yourself, how often do you wake up and do the most important thing first in the day? I never do it, but it's really, really good to do. And doing that first thing is called eating the frog first thing in the morning. The thing that you don't want to do but is the most essential, you eat that, you get that done, and that's it. For the rest of the day, you can move on to the easier stuff. And it feels amazing. You spend your whole day doing the stuff that, is getting progressively easier and easier and less essential because you're covering all the bases, all the important points that you need to first thing. So that was a really effective tool. And every time I've used that, I get super productive. And that calms me right down. It makes me feel really good about myself when I'm getting lots done. One of the other tips I wanted to give you was to make your organisation fun for you. Now, I'm not stereotypically a very organised person. I find, I'm a creative. So like I find that I'm always kind of got things here and there and it's all really colourful and messy. But the more I'm not very organised, and I find it hard to be organised because I get very distracted easily and I find everything inspiring. But I have gotten in the habit of making my organisation fun and making it look really good to me. It's really, you know what I'm like, I like colour. So it's really colourful, it's really cheerful, has loads of different, like I use different colour pens all the time to do all sorts of like lovely scripts at the top of my to-do list. And my calendar that I've got, I write everything out really neatly on it, really gorgeously, in lots of different kind of color-coded stuff. I take time, and it's only a little bit of time. I also invest as well. I buy like diaries that I really like and folders that I think look really cool. And then I always want to go to those folders and use them. So you engage with the things that you find appealing and attractive. So make your organization good looking. I would definitely recommend it. And then you kind of enjoy being around the thing. The same goes for your sketchbook. Treat it well, look after it, design it properly so that you really love showing up to that every day. You do gravitate towards the things that you like the look of. We do that in life all the time. So make your organization something that you really enjoy, makes you feel good, and it appeals to you. I would definitely recommend that. And finally, on the hacks front, do use apps and tips and tricks that you find really work for you. So spend a bit of time now putting research into like, oh, great, image archiving app, or is there something, I know there's some going around that can scan your work from your phone and kind of clean it up for you and things like that. Are there some apps that you're not using to the full effect? Yeah, Instagram, Pinterest. Are there any designers that you can follow on there that are really inspiring for you and your project? And so you're getting kind of fed that stuff every day. That's really valuable to you, and you won't realize it, but you'll be learning all the time. So it's amazing. So use all of the tips and tricks that you can. Spend a bit of time researching those and see how much it can affect the work that you're trying to make and your creativity in general. Okay, so there's going to be bumps in the road, aren't there? There's always times when we are feeling like stuff is going a bit wrong, or we're not loving the output that we've done that day, or someone in our family might get sick, we might get sick, things are going to happen. Your motivation is going to dip. What can you do in those instances? And I've listed a couple of things that I think are quite helpful for combating those situations. So number one, you can go back to the mindset tips. They were things like writing down your goals, visualizing them. Meditating is amazing, guys. I'm the girl from Margate who loves sort of McDonald's and graffiti. I was not into meditation 6 months ago. I love it now. It's so good. I use it to really chill myself out, really think about things that I want and want to feel and who I want to be. And I use quiet time to really mellow me out in order to boost my mood and have me being really focused and creative. So a lot of the time I would recommend that kind of stuff. And just focusing on what you need to achieve and what's important to you. Trying hard not to worry what everyone else is doing and worry too much about everything that's going on in the outside world, because there's often too much of an opportunity to make the big problem the little problem. You take everything that's going on out in the world at the moment and you drag it into your bedroom and you're like, I have to fix all of this. I have to be concerned about all of these things right now in order to change them. A lot of the time you won't be able to do a lot of that. You can do what you can, and I would recommend that. If you know me at all, I'm out doing the shopping runs and going to the pharmacies for people and things like that. But equally, you can't do everything. And actually, one of the best things you can do is focus on your health, your wellness, your state of mind, and your productivity and your creativity, and use that to inspire other people. Someone said something really good to me once when I was like quite a lot younger and I just graduated and I was fretting about like doing good in the world and doing a lot of stuff. And she was like, do you know what? The best thing you can do is be a brilliant version of yourself. And that's going to inspire other people. And I really took that on board, and I would like to share that with you as well. I'm hoping that the way I am and the way that I share stuff and the ideas that I have, by focusing on them, I'm able to help you guys, and you can do that as well. So really, really look after yourselves. That's the number one thing. Be careful what you choose to consume at the moment. So there's a lot of opportunity to gravitate towards the bad news, isn't there? Because there's a lot of it, and it's real and it's relevant, and you should know what's going on. But my goodness, you can't fix everything. And if you consume that stuff all day, if you are constantly barraging yourself with negativity, and you've got alerts on your phone for, just how much bad news there is out there, that's going to exhaust you in a position where you can't really do tons about it at the moment. You're doing the right thing by staying home, learning, and being creative and focusing on staying well. Like, that's really brilliant. So you want to keep doing that. And so what I tend to do, and this is what I think I can speak best on, what I do, I'm really careful what I consume. I try and eat really healthy because I think my food should be fuel for my body, but I'm also careful to consume lots of treats when I feel like I need them and deserve them. I'm careful with the levels of negativity I have around me. So I have lots of lovely friends who have all sorts of different opinions and views on different situations, but I think it's quite important not to always be looking for complaints, for concerns, for negative messages. If I'm following news outlets that are always telling me things that are going wrong and things that are really bad, I unsubscribe from stuff like that, or I make a bigger effort to look for positivity. And I follow lots of accounts on Instagram that are just really positive messages, honest, enthusiastic, healthy, helpful. That's it, isn't it? We want to problem solve. And yeah, we need to know what the problems are, but we need some time to think about the solves and have some, ambition and enthusiasm to create the solves. So I think it's really important to limit the amount of, or just keep a check on the amount of negativity that you have coming towards you when you're trying to be focused and productive, and when you're trying to help yourself and other people. So think about what you're consuming in every sense, in food, in messages, in people, everything. Consider that and take care of yourselves. That's what I think is really important. When you're feeling low on confidence, some of those positive messages will really help you. Like, I love the Instagram accounts that I follow that give me a boost and reassure me about things. But also, there's lots around you that can do that too. So if you're looking at your stuff and you feel like it's not great, and you're maybe not being as productive as you want to be, or you're not very proud of the stuff you're generating, borrow someone else's confidence in you, okay? Write yourself out a hype file. Think of like the 10 last things that people said to you that were about how great you were, whether that's just like your personality and what you managed to achieve in your personal life, or maybe it's about your work. Think about compliments that I've given you. Email me and ask for a compliment. I'll give you one. Like, I think something's fantastic about every single one of you. And you've got to remember those things so that you kind of arm yourself with a little toolkit ready for when you're feeling not so great and a bit uninspired, or you're not feeling too positive. You can draw down on some of that. If you're on one of the courses that I'm teaching on, you're there because you're capable of doing it. Remember that. Like, borrow my confidence in you. Know that having a place at a university means you have qualified to get yourself there. You've come really far already. And that alone means that you must be good at what you're doing. You're not going to be the best one out there at the moment because you're still learning, but you're absolutely going to be someone who's capable of doing it and has a whole host of support around you to get things done. So have confidence, and if you're lacking in confidence, borrow it from some of us. Know as well that every day that you're showing up, even if you're sitting there worrying about it and you know that you're about to go and do something, you're moving that needle. And that's the little needle that I use to imagine like a little progress towards my goal on my chart of things to get done. So maybe you're not going to be really productive every day. Maybe you're going to spend like a whole week not achieving a whole lot. But if you do a little bit, that's something, isn't it? Like, it really is. Give yourself credit for the stuff that you're achieving and use it to empower yourself to do a bit more. One of the things that I think is also really helpful for when I'm starting to maybe slip into distraction or autopilot of not getting loads done is I insure against some of those risks. So I know that first thing in the morning, I always check my phone. And before I know it, maybe half an hour has gone by because I wake up very early, but I'll be lying in bed like wondering what the Kardashians are doing and checking up on what Chloe thinks about situations and stuff like that. And it's like, I know that doesn't help me too much. It's interesting. I get to talk to other people about it, but it's not moving my needle too much towards my goals. So sometimes I do things like spend some time with the phone out of the room. I might set my alarm in on my phone and leave it in the corridor, and I have to get up and go and get it. And by then I'm out of bed and it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to get back in. I'll go and make my cup of tea and my breakfast. And the same thing with work as well. Sometimes I know I'm going to check my phone, or I know I'm going to be tempted to go up and do a bit of this or that somewhere else. So I put insurances in place to make sure I don't do those things. And that can really help you. Knowing yourself, being really honest about yourself and your patterns of behavior will save you a lot of trouble in the long run, because you can put in systems that help you stop distracting yourself, procrastinating, all of those kind of things. So I think that's a really good thing to do. Some other really helpful tips that I learned about habit forming and good behavior are in an amazing TED talk that I watched once, and I'll put the post up maybe in the show notes on here, down there. Subscribe. An amazing TED talk that I watched once that was all about how to change your behavior, and it's like a 10-minute talk. I would definitely recommend you go and watch it, obviously. But the 3 points that the speaker said in the talk, and she was a behavior expert, like she studied behavior patterns and kind of had loads of data on how people change their behavior and why they do. And these were the things that she talked about. And they're really useful to use on a kind of really small scale when you're working for yourself from home and you know you want to do better than you feel like you might do if you kind of lose your grip on, you know, your own behavior patterns, and you kind of go back into an autopilot where you're not getting loads done. So the 3 things she said were when people reward themselves in a really small way, it does make them more effective with forming good habits and good behavior. So as much as you know that in the distance you're going to have a great project if you get it finished, and you're going to feel proud of yourself, and you visualize those feelings, manifested them by like in your body, that's a reward, by the way, because good feelings are a reward. But that might still seem a bit far off. So give yourself tiny rewards during the day, even if it's like you get up and have a dance, or you get to play your favorite song when you've finished a page in your sketchbook for an hour or something like that. Or it might be, all right, I'm going to slowly give myself like a couple of quid towards, you know, the next online purchase that I really want to make. Whatever it is, like these small incremental, sometimes they're just a tick on a list. Like it makes me feel really good to get the marker pen and scrub out the thing I have to do. Organize yourself so that you have really tiny, real rewards that you can feel when you do things right, because those moments are more present for you sometimes than the goal is in the future. And they don't have to be like, oh, I'm going to have like a bag of sweets every time, but it could be like you've got a bag of Haribo that you can eat while you do your work. You're going to have one every time you get that thing finished, and you start to recognize how quickly you want to go for that thing before you've even finished the task. And if you can have a strength of mind to go, no, I'm going to give myself this thing when I've done it, it feels amazing. It's really good. So reward yourself when you have done something right. And again, I did mention this before, but good feelings are rewards as well. So one thing you can focus on as a good reward is how good it's going to feel to get that thing done. Whenever I have to send an email that I'm dreading sending, or I've got a task I don't want to do and I'm like, oh, I've got to get that done, I focus on how good it's going to feel to get it done. I don't focus on the worry. So thinking about that can really help as well. So the second thing that she said was rewarding yourself. Shame can really help as well. So people don't like to feel in their community like they're not doing very well. So setting yourself, although I don't recommend pitting yourself against your peer group, or any kind of celebrities are doing that better, or fine artists or creatives that are kind of way down in their career already. It can really help to understand that where you sit in the spectrum of things, and knowing that you're not the worst, but knowing that you could do better is really, really effective. Because of course in schools, often when students get put in and they're the highest achieving in the group, they relax. Whereas if you're put in a room with a load of intelligent people who are achieving loads of stuff, and you're nearer the bottom, you're going to see how far you've got to climb, so you're going to work a bit harder. So finding some way perhaps of talking to your friends and plugging into them, and having conversations about how well they're doing and what they're getting done can give you, like, plug in with your peer group and find out what everyone's doing. It can remind you that there perhaps is a bit more to do, and that can be really good, really effective, as long as you're careful that it doesn't kind of demotivate you. I think that could be a really, really good peer learning tool. So giving yourself a reward, having some sense of where you sit in the spectrum of things will really help. And then also the third thing was having some accountability. So, and I often do this with some of my friends. I send them a text message and I say, right, I've got to get this stuff done today. So I publish what I have to do. I tell them about it. And then I say, I'll text you at the end of the day when I've done it. And I do this with one of my very best friends. And it's quite good at making you feel like you have to, there's going to be some accountability if you don't get it done. You could use me to do that. You could email me saying, Zoe, by the end of the week, I'll send you my sketchbook pages. That's a good reason why we have tutorials as well. You have to show up and show stuff. You want to do the work. You want to get the work done. But equally, you don't want to look foolish having not done it. You don't want to feel foolish having not done it. So having accountability is really valuable. If you have a friend who doesn't care what you do and is really chill with you no matter what, they're maybe not the person to message. But if you have a friend who you really don't want them to think that you're rubbish, mums are good for this as well, by the way, guys. You don't want them to think that you're rubbish, and they will hold you to task if you don't do it. They'll go, well, you did very well today, did you? Anyone who's going to kind of gently hold you to account is really good to get on your side at the moment, and ask them to help you with keeping up on your tasks and maintaining a sense of like accountability for the work that you're doing. You've got that accountability for yourself, but you'll let yourself off, won't you? Finding someone who's going to give you a better job at like not letting you off is a really good thing. So those are some of the hacks that this incredible talk did, and I'll put that on the notes for you. And then outside of that, one of my final bits of advice about what to do when you need to motivate yourself and in this whole process altogether is just to take pause and breathe. Something I probably haven't done in this talk already, so I'll do it now. Because we so often don't do that, do we? And we deserve to. We need to be really healthy, happy, rested, and focused at this time if we want to do things that we feel proud of and we want to have an experience that is as good as it can be over the next few months. So you need to schedule in time to rest, take breaks, and have a pause and feel good about yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people. Remember that you are doing your best. And the important thing is, if you're doing the very best that you can, it doesn't matter what you're achieving, it doesn't matter how everyone else is doing, your best is absolutely the most successful way you can be at the moment. And that's really what I wanted to share with you guys today. So I'll put in my notes, in the show notes, all of the links that I can think of that will help you. And otherwise, you also know that you can email me at any point if you're feeling nervous about anything, if you want some more advice on how you could be a bit more productive, or if you want any feedback on the work that you're making. But as the teaching body, we are here in our homes to help you get through this period of time, not just by scraping by, but by really thriving in the experience of the situation and generating some stuff that we're proud of you for, and that you can finish this academic year on a high, knowing that no matter what was thrown at you, you did a flipping good job of it. All right, look forward to seeing you on your online tutorials soon.